Hey guys, just want to share a couple tips with how I did this electrical diag on my truck. Basically what happened is I bought this truck and it had my oil temp sensor wire cut. And there's no wire dangling from the loom. It's just gone. You can see it's nowhere to be found. And so this is how I got started finding it. So obviously I came up into the cab here, pulled my dash out. I got my oil temp sensor gauge. I followed the wires to the back. Double checked that, power to both sides, and that it was flowing through my gauge. And then I started looking at the wires on the back. Trace that down to the connector, and I couldn't get very far from there. You know, Peterbilt told me, oh, this wire is 282. But you know, if you get a bunch of miles on these wires, you're not gonna be able to see these numbers or they rub off. So what I did is I made a jump wire, hooked up to the power out of the gauge. Then I came back to the outside of the truck and I started probing all these wires and these connectors. And so basically what I ended up finding was that this wire had continuity between my power out on my gauge and here. And so from there I knew it was a red wire, and I started looking in my engine compartment and I found a couple of wires that were just chopped off. You can see them right here. And it's red. So basically I checked continuity between this point and this point, and there's good continuity. I double checked this by unplugging the power on the back of that gauge and then checking to see if the 12 volts was still here at this red wire, which it was not. Plugged it back in, power came back on this red wire here. And so at this point I am 100% sure that this is my power out oil temp sensor wire. And so basically I'm just going to trim back a little ways, strip it, solder a new wire into place, and then run it back down to my sensor, tucking it nice and cleanly into the existing protector that's here. I've actually got some new stuff too. I could just cover the wire up and zip tie it to some wires that run down to that sensor. But that's just a quick and dirty, this is how I did it sort of thing. And basically just some ways to double check what your findings are. In which case I found my wire, double checked it by pulling off the hot side of the gauge, plugged it back in, checked it again, and that verified that was the correct wire. Now I can replace the wire and be on my way. Have a good one, guys.